Hello and welcome. This is Anton from Andromeda Station. Today we're going to take a look at working with substance archives in our new updated assets. So as you may or may not know, or may know just because you're having issues with it, Unity updated the way that they deal with substance archives in their editor. So currently, right out of the box, they don't support substance archives. You have to install a plugin and do all this stuff. So people have been having some issues with our assets, and this is just a quick little, well, quick, probably not so quick, a video tutorial to walk you through working with our assets with the new update. And hopefully they're future proofed a little bit so that we won't have this issue moving forward. So let's go ahead and open up Unity. We're working with the most brand new version of Unity that I just downloaded today. This is the 30th of March, 2019. So I'm going to open up our project that has the orbital reentry craft asset in it, and we'll take a look. So here is our brand new material setup. So the way that we're working from here forward with our assets that utilize substance archives is that we're just going to have to go ahead and make sure that all of the prefabs have materials on them that utilize a pre-baked texture. So what that means is right out of the box, all the demo scenes are going to work. They're not, your shaders aren't going to turn some weird color and not look right. And I can understand why that would be frustrating and confusing and upsetting. So if we jump through these, we take a look at the interior. Let's actually go in here. The interior all works by default, and our space scene, which is just the exterior pod, but with a little animation on it, all works right out of the box. So you don't have to do anything. If you just want to open this up and have assets on them that have a texture on them, they all just work great with the default standard Unity shader. These textures are all built with that PBR standard shader in mind. So if you're thinking of or looking to go to something like the new HDRP pipeline, these should all function correctly as well and work great. So let's talk about now, say you want to actually use substance archives in the editor. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is open up the asset store and go search for substance. If you type in substance, the first one that should come up is substance in Unity. We're going to go ahead and click on that. This is, just so you know, is free, something that Allegorithmic puts out for free. But as I mentioned before, what used to be default in the Unity engine as something that was pre-installed by default, and we could expect Unity to have the substance functionality working across the board in people's experiences, now is optional. So this is something that if you're going to use our assets with the substance archives, is a requirement that you download this asset now. So I'm going to go ahead and import that, and that's going to take a couple quick seconds. The other thing to talk about is that what we've done by default now in our assets is all the substance archives are going to be zipped into a little zip package, so that if one of the things that Unity will throw is it'll throw some errors if you and it's all done. It'll throw some errors by default if you don't have that installed and you have substance archives in your project asset directory. So if we go and look in the substance folder, what we're going to see in here is a zip file. So if I double click on that and it takes me out here to the substance folder, what I'm going to want to do is right click on that zip file and extract it. So we're just going to have Windows extract that, or on Mac you can extract that on Mac, and it will create this little folder of substance archive files. So what does that do for us? So if we go back to Unity, Unity is going to have to think for a quick second about importing those things. Maybe more than a second. They're large. We've also updated those archives so that they function at the new 4K capabilities. So if we go into this folder now, we should have these substance archives available to us now that we have installed the substance plugin, right? So if we go in here and pop this open, we now have this substance package ready to be applied, right? So this by default is using our pre-baked 4K texture maps, and those all live in this textures folder. But if we want to apply the substance material and edit it in Engine, we're gonna have to take this material, and I'm gonna go ahead and apply it to our escape pod asset. As you can see right away, what is going to happen is by default, it's going to be very low res. It's going to be very blurry and chunky and not so great. What we have to do to make this look better is we're going to go into this substance package, and we are going to scroll down to the bottom of the details here and change this target to, instead of 256, which basically is rendering it just a 256 by 256 texture for all of those different material channels, we're now going to set that to a 2K resolution, which will get us something that's much more on parity with what our material was with the pre-baked textures. So if we do that, it should actually look practically exactly like what we had previously. It just takes a couple seconds to cook after you hit apply. And the question is, did I hit apply? I'm pretty sure I did. Please hold. Hit apply again, or maybe I didn't hit apply. There we go. So now we have our 2K version of this texture set, but the important and awesome thing that we try to we try to offer in all of our assets is that this is now customizable and editable in the editor. So while we're in this substance package, we can go ahead and change things, say like the color of the paint. So if I click on this main color, I can go in here and change this up a little bit. Maybe I want to have sort of more of a olive drab kind of look to the paint color. Need to wait just a moment for it to update, and then it comes right in. We can go ahead and change the accent colors on here. So say instead of orange, we wanted those to be reddish or red or very bright red. We can then modify that. We can also modify these decal colors and all different kinds of things in here. So say we wanted those to be, I don't know, maybe gray, blue-gray. Well, they don't pop very much then. But, you know, as you can see, you can edit and modify all of those things. And they update in the engine. And you can see kind of what you see is what you get. We can modify the colors of our metal. So if we wanted that metal on there to be brighter, we could pull that up and you can see it brightening up a little bit. We could also brighten up the base metal. So this would pop this and make it look more kind of like worn and interesting. So there's all different kinds of things that you can push around in here. You can change the amount of dirt that's on the outside of the craft. So if I drag this slider up a little bit, should get a dirtier look. Right, so now the surface of this guy looks all dirty and grungy. You can change the amount of that grunge. You could just have that dirt mainly appear in the crevices, or you can increase the grunge and have it appear more across the overall surface. So there's a lot of different little tweaks and changes that you can make that will allow you to customize this. In addition to that, you know, we have options for the emissive. And also the ability to add custom graphics and graphic colors to the outside. So let's do the graphics first, and then we'll come back to the emissive. So if we go ahead and look here, we have these different texture slots for the emissive. Now we have pod graphics in here that we can apply to the outside. So if I want to go ahead and drag and drop these into here, you should see that as this updates, and maybe I like that better on the upper doors. So there's that. And I'm gonna put this moon logo on the side, and on here we can add some numbers and logos, and there we go. So, you know, you may not want those to be white. You may want them to be a different color. And all we have to do there is go ahead and change these graphic colors. So if we go in here and select this, maybe I want to make this guy sort of orangey. And the moon, we want to be more of a blue-gray. And this, oops, I just opened Photoshop. So as you can see, these are just grayscale logos, just so we can talk about it and make it worthwhile me opening Photoshop. If you import your own custom, want to import your own custom graphics, just make sure that they are Power 2 resolution. So that's 1024, 2048, and you can bring them in, and as long as they are, the background is black and your logo is in white, you can save those out. I like Targa. You could do that. It doesn't have to be in Photoshop. You could use a free program like GIMP or something like that. And as long as you save those out, you bring them into Unity. The great thing about that is that you can do your own custom textures or textures for logos. So we'll put that on there, and then maybe I'll make this star. I'm not going to open Photoshop again. Make this star like sort of bright red. And maybe it gets lost in there now, so I don't want to do that. I'm just going to make it sort of orange. There we go. So you can see we've kind of, you know, basically completely changed the look of this, and now although let's take one last look at the emissive colors. So as you can see, we're able to modify and change the emissive colors, and right now they're sort of dim on here. So if we change this blue color to pink, you can sort of see that changing and updating. But say you wanted to have that be much more bright. What we want to go do to brighten that up is jump into our substance material in here, and go ahead and select the material itself. Substance is thinking. It's applying some settings to here. Come on. So if we jump into the emission color, if we click on this little swatch here, and we push this up higher, you can see that the those little glowy bits brighten up, and so even over here in the shadow, they're very, very bright. And so, you know, not only can we customize that as far as like the color, but obviously in the material itself, you can bump up the shader intensity. If you had post processes on in here, you could have those bloom and glow and do all kinds of great things. So one last thing that we want to talk about with this substance is the speed. So there have been certain users that have complained about the speed of this, and it going out to going into game mode when you hit play. So this is just sort of a substance plugin limitation. But one of the things that I would suggest, if you'd like this to be a little bit more performant in game mode, is to uncheck this generate on load. So basically the default behavior is when you hit play up here, it's actually going to regenerate all those textures, which you probably don't want it to do, because if you've already gone in and set them all up and customized them, unless you actually wanted to put hooks into them and change them at runtime, which might actually be kind of cool. Like if you wanted to have those emissive values blink or change colors or something like that, that might be cool. But if you don't want that to update at runtime, I believe if you uncheck this and then hit apply, when you pop into the play mode, it should start up a lot quicker than we would before. And you see this sort of like generation that's happening here. If we hit play now, when we jump into play mode, it should, in theory, start up quite a bit quicker. So that's something to think about. The other thing to think about, and this will kind of help with if you want to iterate on this or make different versions of it, is down. Where is it? Down here under preset handling, we can go ahead and export a preset. So say you love this, but you want to make another version of this. If you hit export preset, it allows you, and I'm just going to go ahead and save it on my desktop, and we'll use this in just a second, because what I'd like to show you is baking these textures out in Substance Paint Player, not Painter. We can save out this preset, and it'll remember this, and so you could foreseeably just go back into here and change all of these things and make it completely different. So let's actually do that really quick. Let's make a red pod with gray flaps. And so if you made those changes and then we're like, well, I want to go ahead and pop this back to the previous version, we could say import preset, and then grab the one from our desktop, and after a little bit of waiting, it would pop right back to that preset. The other thing that you can do is you can go ahead and if you fiddled around with these and you don't like what's going on, if you want to pop back to our default, you can hit hit that reset to default, and it'll jump you all the way back to where it was at the beginning, which can be useful. So, and there's that. Except for obviously the decals are loaded. So if you'd like to deload those or just have those be blank, you can just load in this blank texture, and we'll talk about that in a second with Substance Player. So if the performance of the Substance plugin is a question and an issue and a concern of yours, one of the solutions that we offer is going to Substance Player and generating those things yourself. So what is Substance Player, you ask? So Substance Player, I'm just bringing up the web here, is something that Allegorithmic offers. That's a little standalone program that is completely free. All you have to do is sign up for an Allegorithmic account, which is also completely free. You go ahead and download this program, and you are then able to open up Substance archives like the ones included in our Unity project here. And if we open up that project, and then we go ahead and find, let's go ahead and open our Substance archive here. You can see that we now are able to change, update, and modify these materials in the editor, right? Or not in the editor, in this standalone program. So this again comes in at a lower resolution. All we have to do is bump that up. So let's bump it up to 2K like we were working with in the other one. And we can go ahead, and all these settings in here should look familiar from Unity. You know, and we can change and modify these settings, including those graphics. One of the things that's just a little bit different is on the graphics themselves. By default, they come in as sort of this like filled in blank square. So if you don't want those on there and you don't want to apply decals or logos at all, what you can do is, just jump into our textures folder and grab in pod graphics, just grab the blank one, and you can see that will pop that off. Alternatively, you can also grab the different logos and apply those, or like I said before, import your own graphics that you create yourself or have somebody create. So there you go. Also, you know, completely customizable. So one of the last things I want to show you in here is if you're going to go ahead and one of the things that I suggest doing is, if you want to look dev all that stuff in Unity and make it look real pretty and make it look great and awesome in Unity, and then export that preset like we did previously. What you can do is you can load those preset files that you exported from the plugin in Unity into the Substance player and use them in here to generate textures. So basically you can have parity from Unity to Substance player, export out textures, and you can have baked textures that look exactly like the custom setup that you have in Unity without having to deal with the Unity plugin. So if we go ahead and say load file here, and then we select that Substance preset, it'll load into here, and we can apply that setting, and you can see now we've got all that dirt, and we've got the logos applied like we had them before, and they have the same colors and all of those things. And so once you've changed this and modified it and edited it in Substance Player, what we can then do is go up here and say export bitmaps. We can export all of those bitmaps out, import them into Unity, and then not have any need for the Substance plugin at all in Unity. So one thing to note though is by default, from what I understand, pretty much all Substance applications, unless you're actually loading directly into Unity with the archives, the normal channel, or the normal map that it's going to generate is going to be DirectX as opposed to OpenGL. So when you're generating these textures, one thing I suggest that you do if you're going to be using them in Unity is to flip this invert green channel option, so that you're exporting OpenGL normal maps when you export these bitmaps, so that when you bring them back into Unity, they will look correct. So, and then it's just a matter of importing those textures and applying them to your, standard shader material, or perhaps a HDRP shader, or whatever you'd like to work with. And that's mainly about it. So I just want to reiterate, we're sorry that there was any confusion or problems with people utilizing our assets with the changes that have been going on between Unity not supporting the Substance archive straight out of the box. Also, there was a time there was kind of like a middle period there where Unity did support it, but Allegorithmic's plugin was not working correctly with that version of Unity. So there were a lot of problems, a lot of confusion. We've seen your feedback. Unfortunately, this is not my day job. I love doing this stuff, and I love creating assets for the Unity community. And we try to get to this stuff as quickly as we can. And we appreciate your support in the sense of purchasing our assets. And we're very happy to have you guys download and enjoy them. And if you have any feedback or extra comments down the line, please reach out to us and contact us. And so with that, I hope this is a good update for everybody that's been having those problems. We look forward to working with you guys in the future, and hopefully we can create some awesome things for the Unity Asset Store sometime soon. Check out our, if you haven't seen recently, our probe, our science probe asset is brand new. It also has the same functionality as the functionality that we're updating on the orbital reentry craft. Moving forward, we're planning on obviously also updating our other assets so that they all are a little bit more future-proofed and better functional with the newer versions of Unity and Substance plugin coming out. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, also please feel free to reach out to us. And hope you're enjoying working with our assets. Take care. Have a good one.